Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and very interesting looking puzzle today. I might just crack straight on with it. We'll do the advertising at the end of the puzzle, and for now I'm going to just look at the rules of this puzzle. I don't think Sneaky Steve has featured on the channel before, so this is a debut, but it's a very interesting one. And I think if you watch our videos at all, you may not like me or Simon, you may not like some of the puzzle types, but you just have to admire the complete, incredible variety of variant Sudoku ideas people come up with. And this is very interesting. The rules took me maybe a minute to understand, but I think I've got them. So let me try and explain what they say. Normal Sudoku rules apply. That's just putting 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. So we'll try and do that. Now, an orange arrow points towards a cell n distance away that has a value greater than n, where n is the digit in the arrow's cell. So let's start with the example. For example, if row 1, column 2 is 5, then 5 cells away from that, where it's pointing here, is a digit that is greater than 5 because the arrow is orange. So that would then be 6, 7, 8 or 9. And in the cold arrows, the blue ones, a blue arrow points towards a cell, it's the corollary basically. A blue arrow points towards a cell n distance away that has a value less than n, where n is the digit in the arrow's cell. So if that was a 5, we're looking 5 cells away at a digit lower than 5. So that's what the arrows mean. Now we've also got one diagonal along which digits cannot repeat, and that is the puzzle. I can't think. It looks very mirror symmetry, as if orange is looking through a mirror at its blue counterparts, although they're not exactly the same, but there are similarities, or rotational symmetrical similarities. Anyway, I'm really fascinated to see how this plays out. I can't think that there's any essential necessity that it should be orange is one side and blue the other of the line. I think that's just Sneaky Steve's choice in creating the puzzle. It's just an intriguing idea. Sorry, I'm going to restart. I'm going to say let's get cracking. So let's do that. Let's get cracking. How do we start this strange puzzle? Okay. Since the arrows are always indicating a cell n steps away, then the ones that are near the edge and pointing to the near edge, like this one, that can't contain more than 3 because it must be treating a cell here, here, or here as it looks north. The same as it looks west. So that's 1, 2, or 3. This one is as well. I'm going to look at all of these which are pointing to the sides from the middle column. They must be from 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, then in the middle box, there aren't as many arrows pointing to nearby sides as I expected, actually. But in the middle box, I can complete a set, because these are pointing no more than 5 away. And now in the middle box, I have a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't know what good that does me at all. The other digits in the middle are 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to just briefly colour them orange because they're high values. Now, what do these digits on the arrows mean? This one's interesting. This means this is pointing to a lower digit. So this can't be a 1. It's either pointing 2 cells away at a lower digit, and look, this way, that would mean it was pointing at a 1. That's not going to work, because that 1 would then be pointing at a lower value in that cell, which would be 0 or negative. We cannot allow that. So this is 3. That must be right, mustn't it? But the weird thing is that this counterpart cell is not so limited. It just isn't. Because it's pointing at higher digits, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are low. So this could easily be a 2 pointing at that, which would be, let's say, a 5, and then this could be, oh no, that would be then pointing 5 cells away to here, which would be a 6, 7, 8, or 9. I mean, there's vast arrays of possibilities. So I don't think I get to narrow that down to one possible digit, but its counterpart in the orange side, I can barely touch. That's so strange. Okay, on the blue line, 4 and 5 must now be in the central box. So these two digits can't be 4 or 5, but they can point up to 7 cells away in both directions. That's strange as well. Okay, I don't know what to do next. One of these is a 5. So one of these is that is either pointing at a higher digit there, or that is pointing at a lower digit there. Oh, this is not a 2 because 2 cells away you have a 3. It's also not a 1 because 1 cell away you have a bigger digit. So that's 4 or 5. So I think I've got to start with the blue arrows. Now I'm working with low digits. This is not a 1 because of those cells on the blue, and it's not a 2 because it would be pointing at a 1 there, which would be pointing at a 0 there. So that is a 4 in the middle. Oh, isn't this strange? Now, this one, ooh, that's interesting. Okay. It's not a 2, this one, because that would make this cell, pardon my coughing, that would make this cell a 1 by Sudoku. And then that would make the 2 a liar. So look, we get to finish all the low digits in the central box. Now, all that 2 is telling me is that this digit is not 1 or 2, which I knew anyway, and this digit is not 1. The hots from low numbers are useless. It's the colds. So that 4, that 4 is pointing at 1, 2, or 3, both there and there in the blue. I might as well write in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the orange side. This 3 is pointing at 1 or 2 there. This 5, oh, it's also pointing there. Now, what I did spot is this 1, 2, 3, 4 quad that we've just created in the central column. So those can't have a 4 in. Now, this one is a low number. This can't be a 1 because it's pointing at a lower number. It can't be a 2 because that would be a 1 and the diagonal already has a 1 on. So that's a 3. Now I've got a 2, 1 pair in the bottom row. I've got a 1 or a 2 there, but it's on a hot arrow, so that's not really very helpful. However, I've got a 1 on the diagonal, so I can take 1 out of those cells, which could never have had a 1 in because of their cold arrows. This one can't have a 2 in because it would point to that arrow, which can't be a 1. It can't have a 3 in because it would point to that arrow, which can't be 1 or 2 because of the box. So this one is 6 or 7. Ooh, 6 would be pointing at this cell, which would be low, lower than 6. Ah, yes. Where would that be pointing back? That, as it points back along this row, it can't be a 1 because that would require a nil digit in there. It can't be pointing to those, well, it can't be pointing to those cells. So if this, because 1, 2, and 3 have been used in this box, so if that was a 2, 3, or 4 pointing to these cells, you couldn't get a lower digit. This is such a strange puzzle. So the only way for this to be a 6, I think that could be a 5, and then this digit could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now, if that was a 5, you get the added complication that it's also pointing north at that, which would be 4, 3, or 2 pointing at one of those cells. Okay, I can't rule that out. That didn't work. 2 there could be pointing at a 1 here. And 3 there could be pointing at a 1 or 2 here. So I don't get to resolve that cell either. Okay. Now, this thing is pointing, it's not 1, 2, 3, or 4 by Sudoku. So it's pointing at a cell 5, 6 or 7 away, which are these. Well, it can't, yes, it could be a 5, that's fine. If it was a 6, it would have to be pointing at a 5 there, which would be false, because it would be pointing, that 5 would be pointing at a 3 there, and this needs a digit to be higher. This is confusing. If that was 7, this would be 5 or 6, and I think that is possible. So I limited that strangely to 5 or 7, and although I wanted to do more, I couldn't. Now, these don't have arrows. This I don't really know anything about. I mean, I suppose it can't be 1, it can't be 2 because it would point there, it can't be 3, it could easily be 4. So I'm going to put 4, 5, 6 or 7. I don't see how I rule out 5, 6 and 7 pointing at a lower digit in those cells. The orange arrows, they're just not easy to use. I don't see what I can do with them. Now, I've probably forgotten Sudoku. Or something else, something funky. Ah, okay, here's a neat little thing. If this was a 6, it would be pointing at that cell. What higher digit could this have? Only a 7, because it's looking then 7 cells away. But if that was a 6 and that was a 7, that would break this cell, because one of them sees it on the diagonal and one of them in the column. That's strange. Right, if this was a 7, yeah, that's okay. That would be 8 or 9. But if this was a 7, this would be smaller than 7. 3, 4, 5 or 6. Pointing to a smaller digit. It's so strange. Somewhere there. I mean, it seems like it works. Ah, but if this was a 7, that would be a 6. Now, what happened then? That's just by a diagonal constraint. Then that would be a 5. This puzzle works in such a peculiar fashion. Oh, this digit's interesting me now. That could easily be a 1 or a 2, because that's pointing to the right size digit. It can't be a 3 or a 5 by Sudoku. It can't be a 4 because it would be pointing there at a 3. So this is 1, 2 or 6. It can't be 7 because it would be pointing at a low digit. This is 1, 2 or 6. If it was 6, it's pointing at 7, 8 or 9 here. That was a little bit more limited than I was expecting. Oh, this digit is in a column with 1, 2, 3 and 4 already. So this is 5, 6 or 7. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not 5. It is 6 and it's pointing at a 7. It can't be 7 because that's too low. Gosh, that's been sitting there asking to be done. That's a 6 pointing at a 7. And that's pointing at a number less than 7 up here, which is a 5 now. Oh, look at that. This is lovely. So that's an 8-9 pair, and that's a 6-7 pair. The colouring never did anything. I'm getting rid of it. Now, that 3 is pointing, this has unwound quite a lot of things. That's pointing at a 1 or 2 there. That 7 is making this a 6 on the diagonal. That is pointing, 1, 2, 3, that was pointing at a 5 here. Yes, and that's pointing at a low digit both here, 1, 2, 3 or 4 I'm going to fill in, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. 2, 3 or 4, which is either a 2 pointing at a 1, a 3 pointing at a 1 or a 2, and both of those would make up a 1, 2, 3 triple. It's not a 4, in fact, because, oh, hang on. No, I've got this wrong. Sorry. 2 would point at that cell and make it a 1, which is a triple. 3 would point at that cell, and that's not possible because that can't be lower. But 4 would point at that cell and make it 1 or 2. So that is possible. Oh, that's not a 6 now. And this can't be a 2 because that would be a 1. So it can't be a 3. So this is resolved. That's a 7. That's putting a high digit, 8 or 9 there, and something lower than 7 here. But this also can't be 1, 2, or 5. So that's 3, 4, or 6. Now, 3 won't work because that would be pointing there. 6 won't work because that would be pointing, oh no, the 6 does work because that would be pointing there at a low digit. 4 would be pointing there at a 1, 2, or 3. Ooh, now, first of all, this can't be 5 or 7 anymore by Sudoku. 4 works. 6, oh look, I've got a 1, 3 pair looking at that cell. That's a 2. Now, I'm coming back to those in a moment. I'm just thinking about 6 there. That would be pointing to 5 or 4 here, whereas 4 would just be fulfilled immediately. But 4 would make that a 2 and that a 6 and that a 1, therefore, and that's fine. Okay, so that does work. 6 there would make that a 4, which would make that a 2, but I think I'm coming up with the answer that this is always a 1. So let me take you through this again. Oh no, hang on, I've got a 4, 6 pair by Sudoku. Okay, that's the way to get that done. So this is a 2, that's a 1 because of the 2, and that's now a 3. Right. I thought I was going to get that was a 1, but I thought it was going to be complicated and use 2 different things. It didn't, it wasn't, it isn't. Now that 2 is looking at that cell, and that sorts out some 1, 2s. This can't be 6 or 7. I can't remember why it's high. That's because of this 4. There's going to come a time potentially in this puzzle where there's enough admin left that I'm going to have to colour the cells that have been answered. This 6, for instance, haven't filled in. Oh no, it did that 5, but it's now pointing at a high digit. Oh, this is broken. Oh no, I've got something wrong. That 6 is pointing at that cell. And I can't put 8 or 9 into that, and I'm not allowed to put 7 into it, according to what I've done. Oh, I hate it when I have to rewind. Right, let's go all the way back to where we were poised on this diagonal, and I suddenly started doing things. It was in this central column. I thought it was all certain. There, 1, 2, 6 there. I got to this point. I was pretty confident here. Then I looked at this and I said, that can be a 5. No, I didn't. I looked at something else in this column. I looked at this, which can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I'm going to assume I'm right at this point. And if I'm not, I'm going to have to rewind back further than this. But this was where I felt good about the logic so far. So apologies if... Well, apologies either way. If you've seen the mistake that I made after this point, great. And apologies for that mistake. If the mistake is before this, it's a bigger apology. Anyway, this digit can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4 by Sudoku, so it's at least 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not 5. It has to be 6. It has to be pointing at a higher digit, which is 7. That has to be pointing at a higher digit. No, at a lower digit. That is right. So this has to be 5. That is right. I thought I'd found the mistake. I haven't. I'm going back to this. Right, 6 there. Take 6 out of there. This can't be 2. Hang on. I said this can't be 2 or 3. And that's rubbish. It can't be 2, but it can be 3. Okay, that was my mistake. Now, 7 has made this into a 6. That is pointing here. And I think it's probably still right. This can't be a 1 because you can't have a lower number. It can't be 2, 3, or 4 because that would be pointing at places which can't have 1, 2, or 3 in. So that is a 5, pointing at a cell that is lower there. And it's, okay, that, I'm going to come back to what that 6 is pointing at north. But that 5 is also pointing at a lower cell north. 1, 2, okay, that's not a 5 now. This is, well, it's not 1. It's 2, 3, or 4 pointing at one of these cells and a lower digit in it. And I think that's a bit less resolved. It's either, it can't be a 3 because that would be pointing there. Okay, I'm going to look at the 6 going north, then I'm going to come back down here because we know that matters. This is now 7 because that's how far it can point, and it has to be bigger than that 6. That makes this a 3 by Sudoku, which is fine, and which I didn't think was fine. That 7 is pointing both here at an 8 or 9 and here. Right, that 3 is pointing at a lower digit here. That's 1 or 2, which is a pair, and that's a 3. This still could be 4, so how about this then? That's what I was going to come back to. This is not 1, 2, 3, or 5 by Sudoku. It's pointing no more than, oh, it could be 8 away. I don't remember thinking about these possibilities. I had that down as 4 or 6. And I think that's a huge, that may have been part of my mess up as well. Now, can that be a 4? This would be 1 or 2, so that would be a pair. It's funny how it's all changed based on what I think was one arrow mix-up, or one candidate on one arrow. Oh, the other digits on the diagonal are 2, 7, 8, and 9. This one can't be a 2 because of the 1, 2 pair. If that is a 2, oh, this is a 3 pointing to a low digit here, which is 1 or 2. I haven't used that. So I should adopt my colour scheme. So I should get rid of those oranges, which wound back in. Let's purple any cells that we've done, because I've pencil marked those. That 7 is fulfilled. That 6 is fulfilled. This 1 or 2, well, whichever it is, it's either a 2 pointing at a correct digit or a 1 pointing at something that's not a 1. That 3 is fulfilled. This 1 or 2 must be fulfilled. However you fill that cell, that must be resolved. So why have I gone orange? Don't know. Purple. Now, this 2 needs to be pointing at higher digits. Well, it's fulfilled north. I mean, I haven't made that not a 1, but okay, I'll leave that. This 4 is pointing at higher digits there and there, thanks to the pencil marking, and lower digits there and there. So that's done. This 5 is fine, that is done. This 1 is done, obviously. This 3, given the pencil marking, that's done. Did I look at this? 2, no, that is not done. This one could be a 4. Yeah, that's not done. This is a 1 or a 2. No. This 6 is pointing at a 7 and a 5. That is finished. This 7 is pointing at a 5. That's fine. This 5 is pointing at 1, 2, 3, or 4 there, and 2 or 4 there. So, given the pencil marks, that is done. And that 3 is done as well. Okay. So, I need to focus on the other arrows, not the ones that I've just been highlighting. Ooh, if that was a 2, we have a 2, 7, 8, 9 quad. I've got a 1, 2 pair here. Oh, 5 has to be, oh, look at 5 in column 9. 5 has to be in one of those cells in box 6, so it has to be there in column 9. That is pointing at a lower digit here, which is now 3 or 4. There's a 1, 2 pair in this box. That was an interesting Sudoku find. Maybe there's more like that to do. Does this help at all, this 3 or 4? Okay, what's this digit? Ah, this can't be 5, 6, 7 in its row, 1, 2 in its column, or 3 in its box. 4 and 8 is too many. Gosh, that's a 4, and it's already fulfilled. That didn't need an arrow. Oh, yes, it did. Otherwise, it could have been 8 or 9. All right, I see why it had an arrow. That's now not a 4. And there is a 4. Oh, this is now a 3 by Sudoku. There is a 4 in one of those two cells. I was going to say. That is 8 or 9 because of everything it sees in the box, column, and row. And that's part of a pair. 8, 9, 6, 3, 7. This is now 1, 2, or 4. This is just elimination, i.e. normal Sudoku rules. Oh, it's fascinating how this is developing now. And down here, this is 8 or 9 as well, given everything it sees in the row, column, and box. 5's in one of those two. I don't think the corner marking stuff's going to do a lot in this puzzle, although it helped a little there. Oh, in this row, 6, 4, 7, so that's not 6 or 7. We did get this dichotomy here. Such an odd puzzle. Now, that, ooh, okay, it's almost getting tricky. If that was a 2, this would be higher, well, okay, I'd forgotten 8 and 9. 5, 8, or 9. This needs to be pointing to a higher digit, but could be pointing anywhere. Okay, let's come back to column 8, which wanted to bear fruit earlier, and I messed it all up. Now, if that was a 4, this would be 1 or 2. Now, does that cause any trouble? Either in the column or in... Oh, this is getting in. No, this is not getting interesting. It is pointing at successfully low digits in 6 and 7. It could be in 8, and it is in 4, so that is not getting interesting. That remains thoroughly uninteresting, if I may be so bold. Now, there's a 3 by Sudoku in one of those places. 5 in this box is on an arrow in one of those two. Now, if that's a 5, this is 6, 8, or 9. That's fine. If that's a 5, this is 1, 3, or 4. Again, I really can't see what that's doing. 3 is somewhere in those cells, but the arrow would be fulfilled. Okay, I'm going to have a little think about this cell, which sees 2, 5, 6, and 7, so it can't be those. It can't be 8 or 9 because it's pointing to the east. So it is 1, 3, or 4, but it can't be 1 because of that 2 pointing at it. So it is 3 or 4. And now actually this cell is fulfilled, weirdly. But 3 or 4 would both work in terms of pointing at higher digits 3 or 4 cells away. Still, that was a little interesting. This could be anything that's not a 9, I suppose. Yeah, I don't see what I've got going on there or here. These ones pointing 8 cells along the grid, and unsurprisingly, the ones I have most of are remaining at this point. So, can I sort out the 1s and 2s somehow? That feels like it's going to be a step in the puzzle somehow. but I don't see what I've got for those. Diagonal? We're either, yeah, okay, depending where the 2 goes on the diagonal, it's either in one of those spots, in which case this is a 7, 8, 9 triple, and that's quite interesting, or it goes in this spot, in which case this is a 7, 8, 9 triple. And that's not uninteresting too. But I don't know what else that's doing. If there was a 7, 8, 9 triple up here, you've got 3, 5. These would be from 1, 2, 4, 6. If you had a 7, 8, 9 triple down here, oh, that would be from 1, 2, 3. That's interesting. This would be a 4, 5 pair. That's getting a little interesting now. So if this was the 7, 8, 9 triple that we would form from the diagonal, this would have to be 1, 2, or 3, because it sees 5 and 4. That would be the 5, 4 pair. Now, 4 cannot be there. Ah, well that's interesting. 4 can't go here. Just in this box generally, 4 can't go here because it's pointing at a lower digit. So 4 must go here. That's just happened already. And this becomes 1, 2, or 1 or 2. It can't be 3. So now I've got a 1, 2 pair in the row. Another 1 or 2 popping its head up in the puzzle. Everything else in this row is 5, 8, or 9. Now, is there something to say that can't be a 5? That would be pointing at 6, 8, or 9 here. And let's, right, I can purple that. Let's keep on with the admin because it matters. Now, if that was a 2, oh. Yeah, if that was a 2, then there's no 2 on this diagonal up here. Then that is the 2 on the diagonal. So what would happen to 2s? They'd be there, 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 here. Oh, it's quite interesting. They get propagated. We've already got one. Ah, perfect. Right. This is important. There'd be no 2 in row 5. Right. I think it's relatively, well, what I'm proving is that this is not a 2. This may not actually do everything, but if that was a 2, the 2 on the diagonal is there. That and oh, and yeah, that's really simple. Sorry. Where does if that's a 2, the 2 on the diagonal is there, and where does 2 go in row 5? Suddenly it can't go there or there. That's really simple and straightforward. So that's not a 2, that's a 4. That is pointing at a 1 or 2 here, and that 4 is done. Now, that didn't resolve the diagonal, but it does make this another 1 or 2. And now I'm going to have to colour the 1s and 2s because they're just proliferating. So we'll make that one. Oh, maybe, I don't know. Are they proliferating enough? Or are they not actually touching each other? Oh, this is strange. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm not colouring them yet, but. What arrows are now impacted? This can't be a 4. This is now definitely pointing 6, 7, or 8 cells away at a lower digit. That's not doing anything for me. This can't be a 4 by Sudoku. So that is pointing 6 or 7 cells away at a lower... Oh, what? Ah! Oh, this is madness. That 1 has been sitting looking at that digit forever. I'm not having a good day today. but there we go. 1 there, 2 there, 1 there. That is fulfilled because whatever is here is obeying that. This is not 2. The right, this is a 7, 8, 9 triple. That's what I wanted to find. This is 2 or 3. This is 5. So this is where we actually get something out of this puzzle, out of this diagonal business. I've got more in box 3 in a moment. This is higher than 5. This is 6, 8, or 9. Okay, maybe that. No, this is 5 by Sudoku now. That's fulfilled. This is 6, 8, or 9 as well. In a moment, I'm going back up here, where one of those is a 2, so this is a 1. And now I can unwind these 2s and 1s. 2 and 1. That's become a 2. There we go. That's all the cells that had 1 or 2 in it. Oh, look, this sees 1, 2, and 4. That's become a 5. And this has become a 4. Now, there's a 4 in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku. Oh, and there's a 5 in one of those 2. Oh, this is nearly unwound now. This is not a 2. Oh, goodness. These 8, 9 pairs. One of these is a 2. One of these is a 7 on the diagonal. Because it's got to be a 7 in the box. And that means these don't have a 7 in and are forming a 2, 8, 9 pattern, or triple. And that's a 6, 7 pair. That's giving me a 6, 7 pair in the column. That is an 8. And that is a 9. The 8 is fulfilled because it's pointing at a 6 or 7 at the top. This 6 or 7 is pointing at a higher digit, no, a lower digit there or there. This digit? What lower digit than 7 could it be? It's not allowed to be 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. So if that's a 7, that's a 6. If that's a 6, this is 4 or 5. We're not done. Oh, there's a 2 there, so I know where 2 goes on the diagonal. Oh, honestly, if I'd seen that 1 looking at that ages ago, this would all have been a lot quicker. But I mean, it's hard to spot everything. I'm just telling you that. You don't have to have any sympathy for me. That's the 8 in row 8. This is not a 3. That's the 3 in box 9. This is a 1, 9 pair that are resolved by the grid. These are 4, 6, and 7, in which that's not a 4. In fact, that 8 is dealing with box 7 almost in its entirety. The diagonal is finished. That's 4, 6, or 7. This is a very clever puzzle. That is not a 4, that's a 4. In fact, that's not a 7 because of the 6, 7 pair looking at it. So that's a 7, 6, 7. I think we're sort of somehow stumbling to a finish now. Errors and omissions accepted. Now, that's a 1, 2, 3 set. This is 6, 8, 9, in which I can put 8 there. Let's go down the column again. 7, 8, 1, 6, 9. That's become a 5. And that's therefore a naked 4. That's a 3. That's a 2. I think Sudoku might get most of this done. I might as well tick off. That's done. Fulfilled. That's looking 3 cells away. That's fulfilled. I'll come, oh no, 6 or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's either a 6 looking at a 7 there or a 7 looking at a 9. That's not fulfilled. This one is looking at a lower digit. No, that could still be a 6. So I've still got 2 arrows to completely fulfill. These are not 5s. So that's 5 in box 6. That's an 8 by Sudoku. Right, that's 9. That sorts out 6 and 9 there. This is 4, 6, or 7. on one of those is a 4. This is 6 or 7. This must be an 8 in the row, given the 6, 7 pair. That's 9, that's 8. Those don't have a 3. 3, 2, 8, 5, 9. 1, 4. That's a naked 1, and that's 6 or 7. Right, that naked 1 puts a 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight. And this has become a 6. And okay, now I'm going to use this one. It can't be a 7 because that would be looking at an 8. So that's a 6 and is fulfilled. 7 there, 6 there. I've still got a deadly pattern on 4s and 7s. That's so interesting. Right, this is now a 6 up here, looking at that cell, which has to be a 7. That's a very clever puzzle, Sneaky Steve, and very sneaky too. Very interesting equilibrium maintained, but it confused the heck out of me. So I made one error, looking at that cell and thinking that a 3 would mean that had to be lower when it had to be higher. And then I just was very slow to see that that was resolving that cell. I mean, that could have been 10 minutes of the puzzle. Ugh, but we're done, and I loved it. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it if you played that puzzle. Now, don't forget that on Patreon we have loads of other content. We have all of our Patreon rewards every month. We have videos on how to solve them. We have Simon's longer Sudoku videos, my crosswords, my connections, all sorts of things on Patreon. Do join us there for more puzzling fun. And all of our apps are on the links under the video. Do check them out. They take you to, the links often take you to our CTC page, and you can get straight to the apps from there. Do buy them. They're wonderful. No puzzles like this in them, I promise. And there's also Sven's Sudoku pad and our merchandise, so do check out the links under the video. Thank you for watching and staying with me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another one, as will Simon, but bye for now.